We brought in a 1970 Dodge Challenger convertible, 318, plumb crazy car. Neat car, rusty car, rough car. I had made a deal with the gentleman who owned the green 70 RTSE to restore it. At the time, I felt I could probably restore it. Over the years, we've been moving the car around, waiting for it to get into queue, waiting for it to get into queue. And every time we move the car, it weighs a little less because of the rust. Something shakes off of it. I was really worried about its ability to be restored. Worried enough that I had Tony D'Agostino, when he was out here, go around the car and try to give me an objective, optimistic, if you can, view of the car and should it be restored.
I know he says it's a rough car, but still, it's a E-body convertible is the #1 desirable type car.
To make things even tougher for me to make that decision, Brian, when he was out doing an interview for the RTSE, he talked about that car and what that car meant to him and how it had been a part of his life.
My name is Brian Lansford. I'm from Wadsworth, Illinois. In the late 90s, mid-90s, I bought this convertible behind me. So after I purchased the car and had it for a while, nobody around did Mopar restorations, and this one was in need of much more work than the other car that I have. I decided to go ahead and cut that car loose, and the car had been sitting in this guy's backyard since 1999, and I got a flatbed, made a deal, wrenched the car out, shipped it to Mark, and that's the start of this journey.
You know, it's a sad fact that we can't save them all. I wish we could. You see all the cars in here? We're going to save all of them. I wish I could save everyone in the world, but we can't. It's a sad fact. We just can't save them all. Steering wheel, I don't know if it'll clean up. You've cleaned up a lot more wheels. If it's not cracked.
No, believe it or not, the wheel doesn't matter because you can put that other piece on another wheel.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering how the overall shape of
the wheel is worthless.
Now, the other reason I had Tony looking at this car with me is that he knows parts. Because let's face it, if we didn't restore the car, then what do we do with it? Crush it? Well, there's parts of it we'll crush, but there's a lot of good parts on it. Tony is a parts guy. Tony's Mopar Parts has been around since I was a kid. We were both kids in this business starting out. I knew I could trust him to tell me what the value of the parts were, what the marketability was, and then at the end of that, we could add all those things up and come up with the prices. Hey, this thing worth more dead than alive. Outside door handles, this one's in really nice shape. I know they make the new ones now, so is it the same thing?
I sell NOS pair for $165.
So it's worth 50 bucks for a pair of used ones, maybe 25?
You're never gonna sell them, you're never gonna use them.
So as I was watching back through this episode, some of the old material that I hadn't seen in a while, and you guys are watching it right now, kind of a recap of when Tony was out, I noticed that my hunch about him being negative is not wrong. He is a very negative person. Now, that's a pretty good hood. I looked at it the other day when I was walking around it. It's a flat hood, which they're making into the Shakers.
Not anymore, because they make the Shaker, you can buy the hood now from AMD.
Yeah, well.
So, I mean, and by the time you buy the stuff to convert it, you're at the new hood.
He's also, I can't say anything. Every single thing I say, he can't just let it be. If I say the sun's out, he goes, yeah, that there sun's out, but that there sun isn't very hot.
You know.
Well, in this case, follow me around. Hey, Tony, I think this is worth this. Boom. You got to put a value on that somewhere, right?
Hey, look, they don't make convertible quarters now.
You could
hey,
come.
Mark.
No, they don't. Hey, Tony, I think this should be over here. And then a little bit later, when they knew they were doing the AAR, they put those in, but they didn't get rid of those.
Except for this would be a TA.
And every time I say something, bam, he's back with it. No, that's not true. Yeah, it would be a TA.
There's no AAR Challenger.
No. However, speaking of that.
That's pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, you have to stoop to that level. Sad. I just tried to talk about polishing the moldings on the windshield. And those being really nice, you'd probably have them polished and get
I don't have
full
them.
retail.
No. If I have them polished, then they go, oh, it's not just right.
No, that's not what I do. I don't do that there. I don't do that there. Let somebody else decide that. Just hand them the moldings. Let them see it, because no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry I said anything. I would have put $300 or $400 on a donor dash. I mean, that's what you'd charge me for one. I just wondered what. Real number.
If the dash pad core is worth something, I guess you could be generous and give $300 for it.
Yeah, but is that what you'd sell it to Mark Warman for? One of the things I thought was kind of funny, I called him on it a couple of times and he shut me down. Yeah, don't do that there. Don't do that.
$150.
And why'd you charge me $400 for the last two I bought?
Because they were better?
Was the fact that some of the parts that I was getting prices on, steering wheels and moldings and stuff, he's charging me more than he's paying for them, but our deal is he's supposed to sell them to me at the price he pays for them. Complete steering column, without the steering wheel, complete. Power steering. Good complete column.
$175?
And then when I called him out on just stop, Mark, that there. You charged me $350 for the last one I bought.
Stop.
Give me a sandwich. Whatever. The fact is, on this car, all of its value really resides in its parts. The convertible top mechanism, the windshield, the cowl, the things that make it a convertible, the tops of the quarters, that section isn't rotted out, so you could easily take the parts off of this car and make a hardtop Challenger into a convertible. All of its value now, other than the sentimental part, and I can't do anything about that, resides in the value of the parts.
Retail, I would sell a convertible top frame, for around $2,000.
The metal corners.
Stamped metal. And the centerpiece that runs across.
Got it. Yep.
Those 3 pieces also, that's probably $1,300.
Wow.
Retail.
Wow. What would you give me for that spare tire?
Nothing, but the jack hook would have been worth something, except for I came out.
Tony's making these now, so they're not worth much. Tony and I kind of go round and round and bicker back and forth and stuff. Usually it's just one-upsmanship. You're trying to get the other guy in a mistake, and aha, I got you. We're taking 2 different roads to get to the same place. But do you agree, sadly, with me overall, that it's done?
Okay.
The funeral march. In this particular case, we both merged at the end and came up with the agreement that the car couldn't be saved. And because it couldn't be saved, I had to make that dreaded phone call to the owner and let him know, look, it's not gonna make it.
It was sad about the Challenger. It would have been a really cool car to restore, but it was just too far gone. Every time we moved that car around, it lost 50 pounds of rust. We can't save them all, and that really sucks.
It always hurts for me to have to say a car isn't restorable like this one. But it hurts a little bit worse when the guy has all of the paperwork that you would love to have on a Hemi car or on a 6-pack car. He had the broadcast sheet, the fender tag, the door VIN label on it, the dash VIN was there. He had a breakdown showing it was one of only one ever built with that color combination in a convertible. He had the original point of purchase invoice for the car. So it does really hurt when you have to knock something like that out.
Well, this little car was given to us last year. It was part of those California fires. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do with it. Right, Dougie?
So recently, a fan of the show donated a '73 Challenger Rally that had been in the California fires. Mark and I looked over the car, and there was absolutely nothing on the car that we could salvage. We took it over to a local recycler and had it crushed.
Some of the cars out here are better than what Dougie's driving.
So of course, Mark had to film that to torture me.
Anyway, it was a Challenger Rally, but look at how you can just see the sag in it. Right there is the cowl. That's how hot that thing got. It sagged in the middle. It's just toast.
That's ridiculous. I do that just to torture Dougie.
There it goes, Dougie.
Like I ain't got something better to do than torture Dougie. Yeah, I do it partially to torture him.
There goes the hot rod.
Oh man, it was hot, wasn't it? Burned some marshmallows in that
That was
car.
nicer than your Barracuda when you got rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was better than any car I've ever owned.
All those look better.
There have not been very many cars come across our path that we couldn't restore, but on this topic, if you guys recall back, there was a real Charger Daytona that came to us back when we were at the old shop to try to have it restored. And I wanted to restore it, I really did. But unfortunately, there just wasn't enough car left. When the guy brought the car in, I was optimistic until he opened the door on the trailer and there was nothing but parts in there. There wasn't even, like on our Phantom Coupe, if you go back, it was a car. This wasn't even that. This was nothing. This was a rear clip off of another car, a rocker section off of that car. Because keep in mind, this car was at the bottom of a rock quarry up in Nova Scotia, Canada, where it had gotten pushed off 30 years earlier. So when this guy retrieved this car, there wasn't much left of it, except the guy who did push it off the cliff and say, hey, this is great filler material, later regretted it, cut out the dash VIN for it. He had the core support numbers, the trunk lip numbers. He saved a section of the quarter that had the Daytona decal on it. You can see all of that stuff. And that's all wonderful stuff, but you can't just put those things on another car or other parts and say, this is the car. There's not enough of the original car.
Where's the rest of the car? I just think he took the wrong exit and was supposed to go to the scrapyard.
Another great thing about when you watch back through some of this old footage is it reminds me how much I hated Darren.
Is there anything really to start with? That's, I think, the bottom line here. What do you start with on this car?
Just like with Brian's car on this Daytona, I actually conferred with Tony D'Agostino on that one. I called him up and I sent him a bunch of pictures. We looked at the pictures in real time together. He agreed with me. It's just not a complete car when it's done. Basically taking the numbers off of one and putting it on something else, and we just don't want to do that. So that car, unfortunately, also had to get knocked in the head.
Mark had to help me move this car around with the forklift because every time we go to pick it up, it tries to fall in 4 pieces like a taco. You know, it's a convertible car, so there's nothing holding it together when the top's down anyway. Something like this, if it could have been taken care of, would have been really nice, but there just wasn't much left of it.
If you go out through the lot and you look at the cars that have rusts on them, there's rust where you can put your hand right through the quarter panel, no problem, but the frame rails are solid, the floors are solid. Those cars structurally are still good solid cars. So the more of that rust that you have, like in the frame rails and the floors and the underseat pan and the aprons, the more it compromises the integrity of the body. This car is rotten from the belt moldings down, literally rotten to a point where there's nothing. So when I raise the car up or try to raise it up on the lift, that's why it looks like a Lamborghini. The doors just kick up in the air like that. This thing is in bad shape. Every time we moved it around the lot, it would fold in half, but now you can see it. We go to raise the car up and it folds literally in half.
So this car was falling apart so bad, I couldn't even figure out how to get it up on the hoist. Mark thought up the idea of using the hoist and the forklift at the same time to pick this thing up so the front end didn't just break off of it.
All convertibles come with reinforcements. They have the angle iron inside the rocker. They also have the torque box at the front and the rear. I'm showing here that the torque box is completely gone from rust. The transmission cross member, I can literally bang up and down like this, like a rubber band. There is nothing left of that car.
Okay, so another thing we have to do now is get under this thing and start trying to unbolt things. So normally we have a procedure to take these cars apart, but with this one here, it was quite a challenge. We just decided to use a torch and a hammer. So once we got everything unbolted, we were able to get the engine and transmission out, but it wasn't pretty. So basically, Mark gave me a list of things to save, but it wasn't much. Once we got the drivetrain out of the car, it was pretty much straightforward from there for the disassembly.
This is classic Dougie right here. This is what I'm talking about. Peering inside of it, pushing it out into the middle of the aisleway. He spots me, yells at me, "Hey, Mark."
Mark!
I come running down there because I think something's wrong, right? He shows me, he holds a flashlight up and he says, "Look." What is it? I thought, well, maybe a critter's in there or something, you know? Gas.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it's gas.
Yeah, well, it's half full.
Yeah, it's a gas tank.
Yeah, well, it's dangerous. It's flammable. Maybe even explosive.
It's a gas tank. I don't get the question.
I could have blown myself up. Mark? Okay, so once we got all the parts off the car, I had to cut the aprons and the front end off the cowl because Mark wanted to save the cowl and the windshield as a single structure. So we did the same thing at the back. Mark wanted to save the unique convertible mechanism in the back of this car, so I cut it right across at the rockers.
Now, another car that we have in the queue that we are going to save was burned like the Challenger that we crushed. But this car still has the original engine for it, the original transmission. It's a 70 Charger RTSE 440 automatic, and it's a loaded car. Quite possibly, when we're done running the numbers on it, it'll be one of one. All of the structural parts on the car are good, like on Windows car. Remember, we went through Windows car and we determined that the frame rails and the aprons, everything down low was good. We just had warped sheet metal. That's what we have on this Charger. So stay tuned for that car to come through, because that'll also come back like the Phoenix Coupe. It'll be the Phoenix Charger. Hello ghouls, Mark Warman here, the Ice Tree from Graveyard Carz. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. We have fantastic stuff coming up, and some of it you've never seen before. I gotta go insult people. Hey Alice!